Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. There is only one flower remaining on my yellow hibiscus bonsai. You can see it here. Looks beautiful. So today I'm going to prune the tree back, trying to create a nice structure that I can build on in the future. Our local high school has a large greenhouse and they have a horticultural program, and they had a fundraiser event where you could buy plants that they developed in the greenhouse. So I bought this yellow hibiscus there. In spring of last year, I took it out of the nursery pot, did some root pruning, and started its journey towards becoming a bonsai tree. Let's go back in time now, and you'll see the steps I took to get it to this stage. I've moved the hibiscus into the greenhouse. This is the one that flowered almost continuously last year. And you can see it's kind of weak after winter, but as soon as I put it in the greenhouse here, everything started to green up. And there are some flower buds forming on it already, and I've been pinching those off, so I'll do the same here. So there's the flower bud. It flowered all last year with these kind of yellow to orange flowers, and the leaves are much smaller than my regular hibiscus, so I think it'll make a really nice bonsai. So I'm going to start the bonsai process today by getting it out of the nursery pot and into bonsai soil and pruning it back to get a basic structure. Let's go in now and look at the hibiscus, and you'll see all these things sticking up, spikes and forks and things, and that's because any regular soil in this area, the birds get in and they dig for worms in it. Here I go, the first pruning, like that, and that'll grow as a cutting. I'll remove the tree from the pot now, so I'll just kind of loosen up the edges of the pot, just kind of, that should be good. All right, let's see if we can get it out. I'll start to comb out the root base now, so starting from the trunk of the tree, combing outwards in a radial pattern. I've got the root base washed on the tree, and I was looking around for some pots, and I think this pot would be good for these waxed myrtle seedlings. I can put a forest in there, and I think this tree can go in this pot. This pot's a little big for it, but should do well in it. It's not too big. So yeah, let's get the roots pruned now. So that got a lot of the kind of surface roots sorted out better. I wouldn't say they're great. However, what can you do? You have to work with what you have. I think that's about all I can do to the roots for now. Hopefully, I'll get more roots coming off and I can develop a better root system in the future, but that's a good start for today. I've got my drainage screens in place, so I'll just put a layer of bonsai soil in the bottom of the pot. There's my layer in the bottom, and then I can build a mound up and then put the tree on top and work it in to the right height. That's pretty good right there. So I'll fill it in with some soil, and I hope a speedy recovery. So that's almost staying there by itself. That is now. Okay, that should be good for the first watering. I'll place the tree in the greenhouse. All right, off we go. When I pruned this tree last, I just kind of pruned it back to size. I kept a lot of branches on the tree because I wanted the tree to be vigorous to generate a nice root system in this pot with the bonsai soil. And it's done that now. So now I can be selective and I can prune the top of the tree down. So first I have to look at the style of the tree. The tree has a very, very straight trunk, which I like on a bonsai. Straight trees to me look like the tree has strength and vigor. If a tree's all kind of twisty in that, to me it kind of looks more like a tortured tree you'd see in a mountain, or generally trees around here grow straight up. So I like straight trunk trees. I think they look powerful. I think your eye focuses on the bark and all the little details of the tree rather than the, a twisty shape to the trunk. So I'm going to start. I've got this lowest branch here, and on an upright tree like this, I don't think I want a branch coming off here that's, I've got this nice upright form, and I don't want this kind of winding branch coming off the side. So I'll start by removing this lowest branch. All right, I'll come in here with my branch pruners. I'm just going to prune it off roughly at first, so right here. That gets it out of the way. And then I can come in. I'll just clear away the soil from here so I can get my pruners down a little lower. Ooh, I see some flare happening at the base of the tree. Really nice. That's all that radial root work. Gives you a nice flare at the base of your tree. Now I'm coming in with my branch pruners, and here I go. Just like that. I'll just take a little bit more off. It's just a little more trimming here, like that. That's nice and flush now. Now that the lowest branch is off the tree, I can look around and start getting some styling ideas. This tree has a very straight trunk, and it has several really heavy branches coming off of it. If I were to keep those branches, they would have to become upright trunks because they're almost the same thickness as the trunk. They're quite thick for branches. Bonsai is all about, having the thick trunk, branches skinnier, and they taper in size and thickness to the tips of the crown of the tree. So you want that contrast between the width of your trunk and the branches and the growing tips. So you don't want a skinny trunk like this and big thick branches on the tree because it won't look very tree-like unless these branches become upright trunks that support a large amount of foliage. There's a look at that branch. So here's the trunk thickness, and then this branch is quite thick. So it would have to become an upright trunk to justify that thickness because the branches should be this kind of a thickness. So they're skinnier than the trunk diameter. I have a few choices on this tree. I could strip all the branches off, just keep one trunk line, and then develop new branching off of it. So my branches would be, quite a bit skinnier than the trunk thickness. And that would make it quite a nice bonsai. Or I can use what I have and try and develop it, keeping these skinnier branches, developing this into an upright trunk. Working with what I have rather than pruning it back to a trunk and then starting the branch structure all over. So generally, I like to work with what I'm given if I can. And I think I can turn this into a nice bonsai, keeping as much structure as I can on the tree. So let's try that, and then I can always change my mind and prune it all off if I don't like the final image in the end. So yeah, this would have to become an upright trunk. It's just so thick. So I'll continue that, growing that up into the canopy. So on these upright trunks, I'm looking for flowing branches. I have a new bud here. I could prune this right back to there and get it growing more upright. There's a branch here I could prune off, keeping the upright part here. There's a lot of possibilities. I have another upright trunk at the back here. What I want to avoid is straight sections. So you can see, I have the trunk, a branch, which is a nice length, and then I've got a fairly long straight section here. Some of these branches, like this one at the back, has this big long straight section. This branch here has a big long straight section. So I want to bring those straight sections, prune them back so I get taper and movement in the branches so they're not, so coarse looking. I'm going to try and pick a front for the tree, and there may be several fronts, I don't know. And I'll mark it. There's one here. Maybe one here. And maybe a view here isn't too bad also. There's one possible front in that area that, has this as a back branch back here. I've got some division. I've got some good three-dimensional, branches on the tree. There's another view here, looking in here. That brings a lot of, branching forward. I've got the more upright trunks. I'll have to develop something back here to get that canopy on it. But yeah, somewhere there is another possibility. And then over here isn't too bad either. Kind of looking in that direction. Now I've got to pick out which one is my favorite. I think I like this view the best. Coming in here, I've got my thick kind of upright trunk towards the back. I've got branches each side, and the main apex kind of comes forward. So the one at the back's a little thick, but I can reduce that and get more vigor in the front one. But I think that looks pretty good. It's certainly a good beginning. So we'll style it from that point of view. I'll take the other markers out. I won't use those. And that'll be our front. That means I'll have to reposition my bunnies. I'm going to begin the pruning now. So I'm going to make the branches more compact. So on this one, there's a couple of leaves down here. I can prune it right back to there. Like that. On this branch out the side, I have some leaves at the base here. But I think I want it a little longer. I'll come right to here. Like that. Shortening those back. I've got a branch here. I'll prune that one off here. Just shortening all that new growth. I've got a lot of stubs from previous pruning points that I need to come in and clean up, so I'll do that. Come in with my branch pruners and just take the branch back just a little further to there. That looks good. There's a dead branch up here I'll remove. There's a pruning point here that needs the cleaning up. So I'll come in and prune that off. Or make it flush anyway. Just a little bit more. Like that. That looks much better. Okay. Back to the front here. I've got this long straight section here. It's much, much too long. So we're going to have to prune that back. There is a butt up here. I could prune just the top off. But that still leaves me with too long of a straight section there. So there's a butt on the back here. I think I'm just going to have to take it off. Yeah, it'll be a bit of a Hail Mary cut here. Oh, there's my little spiders crawling up there. You don't want to be on that part. Yeah, so I think I'm going to bring it down to right here. See what happens. Okay, so there's the front view now. So again, this back one, I have a really long straight section, so I'm going to take that back. And because this back, upper trunk here, or multi-trunk, is thicker than this one, I'm going to prune it back even harder. So I'm going to come right back to here. So here I go. Like that. And then off of that back branch, I have another really long straight section that needs reducing. So I'll be taking that right back to here. Quite a chop, but necessary. So that's got a lot of those big long straight sections reduced back. I still have some on these branches. So let's go in and get those pruned now. It has a fairly long straight section, so I'm going to prune that in half to right here. So here I go. Like that. And then the last big long straight section I have is back here, so I can prune this back. I've got a a little branch already forming there, and there's one on the bottom, so I'll take it right back to here, like that. So that's the pruning. Now I'll go back to the front, and you can see that the tree doesn't look like a big, tall, skinny tree anymore. It makes the trunk look much thicker when you reduce the height of a tree down like that. And that's part of the secret of developing a nice trunk is, you know, you let it grow really tall, you prune it back, let the new branches grow in, prune those back. You know, every year your tree will get a little larger, but that's how you develop all that nice taper and movement and thickness, is letting the tree grow and pruning it back. You also notice that the tree looks really small in the pot now. The pot looks like it's giant, and it is giant for this size of a tree, but we will develop the tree to fill the pot eventually. Here's a closer view of my yellow hibiscus, and I'll rotate it around so you can see it from all angles. So here I go. There's a few chew marks in here from squirrels. And we're coming back somewhere to the front. The next stage for this tree, I'll let it all grow in again, get nice, strong, and healthy with lots of vigor, and then we'll be doing more root pruning. That's got my yellow hibiscus all pruned up, ready to grow again, so I can put it back on the bench, and we'll keep, following this tree along, its progress in the future, and hopefully someday it'll turn into a beautiful yellow hibiscus bonsai. That's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.